All right, so get this. We're diving into machine learning and deep learning today, and honestly, I'm pretty pumped about this
It's
one.
exciting.
You guys sent over this paper. It's called Machine Learning and Deep Learning by, let me see, Christian Janiesch and a whole team, it looks like.
Yeah.
And wow, even the title just screams cutting edge, you know? But, okay, let's be real for a sec. It's not all like robots taking over the world scenarios, right?
Yeah.
Although that is totally in here, and yeah, it's as wild as it sounds. But look, we're here to cut through the hype, give you the real deal, like what you actually need to know about how these systems work. So ready to decode this stuff.
Absolutely. And what I think is really interesting is just how much machine learning and even deep learning already play a role in our lives.
Yeah, true.
Everything from, recommendations you see online to how like the entire stock market operates. It's like woven into everything.
Okay, so we've all heard the buzzwords, right? But let's like break it down. AI, machine learning, deep learning. It's like everyone's speaking a different language out there, you know?
Yeah.
Where do we even start with all this?
Okay, so think of it this way. Artificial intelligence, AI, that's the big umbrella.
Yep.
It's like any technique where we're getting computers to try to, mimic human intelligence.
Right.
Machine learning is under that umbrella.
Okay.
And that's all about computers learning from data. But the key here, it's without being explicitly programmed.
Oh, interesting.
So instead of telling the computer every single rule, you're feeding it tons of examples. Almost like, showing a kid a bunch of pictures of cats and dogs until they can tell the difference.
Right, yeah.
It's all about learning from those examples.
Okay, I'm with you so far. I think I get it. But then deep learning, is that like machine learning, like super smart cousin or something?
Kind of. You can think of it that way.
Yeah.
Imagine like machine learning, but with like a turbocharged brain.
Okay.
And it uses these things called artificial neural networks.
Right.
And these are actually inspired by the human brain
Oh, wow.
to like sift through these massive amounts of data, and it picks out these really complex patterns. And the deep part of it, it refers to having multiple layers of these networks, and they're all kind of learning different aspects of that data.
Wow. So no more like hand holding the computer through every single step. This is where things get really interesting, right? But like, how does this whole process even work? Because I mean, the Janiesch paper really, it goes deep into building these systems.
Yeah.
Like, what's the starting point?
Well, it all starts with data.
Okay.
And not just any data. We're not talking like your average spreadsheet here. We're talking like time series data. So think like stock market trends,
Okay.
images, like what self-driving cars use to, see,
Right.
and even text, like if you're analyzing sentiment on social media, all of that.
Wow.
And the really amazing thing about deep learning is it can actually combine these different types of data, which gives it a much, much richer understanding. It's kind of putting together these puzzle pieces from different boxes. And then suddenly the picture just becomes much clearer.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got mountains of data, right? Like, how do we go from just like a pile of data to a system that can like actually make decisions,
Yeah.
The paper, it mentions feature extraction. What is that all about?
It's kind of like you're sifting for gold, right?
Yeah.
You're looking for those little nuggets of valuable information in this like riverbed of raw data.
Right, yeah.
So let's say you're analyzing customer reviews. Okay.
Oh.
The features could be like the specific words people are using, right? Or maybe like how long is the review? Or even like, are they using proper grammar? All those little clues.
Right.
So in traditional machine learning, we have to actually tell the computer exactly what to look for, which features are important.
Yeah.
Very manual. But with deep learning, it's like having this prospector who just shows up with like X-ray vision.
Yeah.
They can just like see through all the dirt and just bam, find the gold.
Wow.
They can automatically learn what features are actually the most important.
So it's almost like deep learning is doing the hard work, like the analysis for us in a way.
Exactly.
That's really incredible. Okay, we have all these features now, right? Like, how do we take that and build something that can actually, like, make decisions from it, make sense of it all?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, imagine you're teaching a kid how to ride a bike, right?
Okay, yeah.
So with traditional machine learning, we give the computer very, very specific instructions. It's like we're giving them a manual, right? Like if you see this, then you do that.
Right.
Very rule-based. But deep learning is more like we just give them the bike, put a helmet on them, and we say, go figure it out.
Just let them go.
Exactly.
Interesting.
And those algorithms, what they do is they kind of adjust themselves internally, these internal parameters with each attempt, and eventually they figure out how to, ride smoothly.
Wow. That's really interesting, but how do we even know if they're like any good at this point? Like what makes a, I don't know, a really high performing model versus one that's like still wobbling all over the sidewalk?
Yeah, yeah. It's all about how we evaluate its performance,
Yeah.
right? So we look at like how accurate are its predictions, is it getting things right? But it's not just about getting things right. It's also about how efficiently it's doing it. So we also have to think about like the computational resources involved, like how much power is this thing using? And importantly, can we actually understand why it's making the decisions that it's making?
Oh, so you're talking about that like black box problem
Exactly.
where even the creators are kind of like, well, your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah, sometimes.
Which seems, I mean, that seems like a pretty big deal, especially if we're talking about something like, I don't know, medical diagnoses or financial systems. It's a little unnerving, isn't it?
Absolutely. And that's one of the big challenges, right?
Yeah.
Because with some of these deep learning models, they get so complex that even the people who created them sometimes have a hard time explaining, like, why did it make this specific decision?
Right.
It's almost like asking your brain, like, how do you understand language?
Yeah.
You just do,
Mm.
but it's really hard to articulate,
Yeah, it's just automatic.
right? And this lack of transparency, it's a major challenge, especially in areas where, like, trust and accountability are super important.
For sure. So it's like we have these like insanely powerful systems, but we're still figuring out how to make sure that they're reliable and like trustworthy, you know?
Absolutely.
It's like a kind of a tightrope walk in a way.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely is. And it's something that, it's constantly evolving, right?
Right.
And one of the, I guess, really interesting and exciting developments in all of this is what we're seeing now with AI as a service.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that. So is it kind of like instead of building something from scratch, you're getting like a head start?
Yeah, exactly. It's like this democratizing access to like cutting edge AI, right?
Yeah.
It makes it possible for businesses of all sizes, not just these big tech giants,
Right.
to really tap into this power.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And it's not just about saving money either, although that's definitely a plus. But these models have often been trained on like huge amounts of data, right?
Yeah.
And they've been fine-tuned by like real experts.
Yeah.
So you're potentially getting faster results, more accurate results.
Like you're already starting like miles ahead in the race or something.
Exactly.
This is really making me think like big picture now,
Yeah.
Like if we're already using AI to personalize our entertainment, streamline all these business operations, I mean, where does it go from here? Even in the Janiesch paper, there are these little hints about potential applications that sound like they're straight out of like a sci-fi movie.
Oh, yeah. It's so exciting to think about.
Yeah.
One of the areas where I think it's like super promising is healthcare.
Okay.
Imagine using these algorithms to analyze like medical images. So think X-rays, MRIs, stuff like that,
Wow.
and being able to detect diseases way, way earlier than we can now and even more accurately.
So it's like having like a super powered diagnostic tool.
You got it. And, the earlier you can detect something,
Yeah.
usually the better your chances are of treating it effectively, right?
Right.
So it has huge implications for treatment too.
Wow.
And it doesn't stop there. We're even seeing research now into using deep learning to like personalize medicine,
Sure.
tailoring treatments to a person's like unique genetic makeup, even their lifestyle.
It's like, wow, we're talking about like a whole new era of healthcare. Like it's kind of mind-blowing to think about the impact this could have on people's lives.
Absolutely.
But okay, we've talked a lot about like the incredible potential of AI, which is really exciting, but what about the, I don't know, the challenges? Are there concerns that we should be thinking about as this technology like keeps developing?
Yeah, that's a really important point. It's not, all sunshine and roses, right?
Right.
One of the, I think, biggest challenges is making sure that we're using these systems responsibly, ethically,
Right.
because, I mean, like any powerful tool, you got to know how to use it.
Right.
And you got to be aware of the potential downsides too.
So it's like, yeah, we can marvel at like the magic of it all, but we can't forget about like the human element, you
Right.
know, finding that balance, like innovation, but also responsibility.
Yeah, it's all about finding that sweet spot.
Right.
It's not about like replacing humans altogether.
Right.
It's about humans and machines working together to solve these like really big
Mhm.
complex problems.
It's a future full of potential, that's for sure, but it's up to us to kind of shape it in a way that makes sense. Well, that's about all the time we have for today's deep dive into machine learning and deep learning. This is a field that's just moving so fast. Who knows what amazing breakthroughs are right around the corner? But we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts? Like, if you could design any kind of intelligence system, what would it be? What would it do? Head over to our website. Let us know your ideas. Until next time, keep those brains buzzing.